in three, two, one. Matt, I'm telling you, I've learned so much from the internet this last week. It's not even funny, but the most important thing that I've learned from the internet this last week is Madman Movies Podcast, where we do a movie podcast about movies.
I see what you did there.
Things.
I see what you did there. I was like, oh, he's going to say something interesting, but no.
No. I mean, I probably could, but I'm going to need somebody behind the Patreon wall to say that. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, right. So that if you pay $73 a month, you can find out what I just said. How about that? That is some kind of deal. And this is a deal as well. Free talk about movies by two men named Matt, who also might be white. But then we have other things inside of us as well. Matt, I'm already rambling.
I don't know what you got going on over there.
I'm rambling. I'm talking. I, most importantly, want to talk about movies today with you, as we always do. It is one of my favorite things in the world to do, to discuss movies with you, even though you're often wrong and I'm always right.
Every person I've met who listens to our podcast has said the exact opposite. So
you can't ask your daughters. That doesn't count.
My daughters do not listen to the podcast. In fact, when the podcasts come out, I'll usually listen to them just to see how the encoding is.
Yeah.
And make sure everything got uploaded okay. And we'll listen on the way to school and they'll be like, oh, are you listening to yourself again?
Yes, I am. Because everybody else says, hey, I even got a new poster this time. I put my Twin Peaks poster up. I'm gonna put more posters up one of these days, but it's on like the closet and it's like a whole different material. Anyways,
I'm literally running out of space over here.
Yeah, you're gonna have to move to a new room.
This is my living room. Like we have a really big living room, and there's this huge place in our entryway, which is now my little cave, and it works really well, and people love seeing it when they come in. But we have 3 bedrooms, and I've got 2 kids, and I didn't want to make them share a bedroom at, ages 13 and 15. So,
I've been through that before. Don't miss that at all. I guess technically I share a bedroom with my wife, so I guess that kind of counts, but it doesn't. And you know what else doesn't count? The number of Transformers movies that they've made, because I don't even know anymore, but there's a new one coming. Are we excited?
Apparently the new one's actually really good. From everything I've heard from everybody, it's really good.
Yes. I immediately went on Transformers, but let me tell you, when I watched it in the gym the other day, also I have a new gym metric. If I work out for 11 minutes in the gym, that means the movie is terrible. I can list a few of those in a second. If I get all the way up to 15, that means your movie, hey, has caught me in some way, shape, or form. Transformers, you caught me the other day. Shia LaBeouf.
Which one? Oh, the first one?
Yeah, with his stroke.
First one's really good. The first one's really good. No, because I saw the first one opening night at the Cinerama Dome.
Ooh, nice.
Right. It was, I think, the first showing that night, and the second the Hasbro logo came on the screen, the whole place just snickered because everyone was like expecting Batman and Robin.
Right. Well,
and then the movie started, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, this is actually really dope." And the movie ended, and I'm like, that was surprisingly good. Like, that is better than a movie called Transformers should ever be. And then the others happen.
Well, Gerard Carmichael was in one of the other ones, so I don't know which one it is. But if
the third one, I was watching the third one at home, and my wife came in at one point, and she's like, "Are you watching Transformers?" And it was just stuff blowing up on screen. I'm like, "Yeah." And she went into the bedroom for literally an hour and a half, and she came back out, and she goes, "Is stuff still just blowing up?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much."
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
it is consistent that way. When I was watching it in the gym the other day, and it's always different images and different TVs and different things, but I would say that it still felt a little flat. I know they were still trying to learn how to use the green screens, all that kind of stuff at that period of time. Not still a fan of that part, but
not a whole lot of green screen in that movie.
What?
There's not a whole lot of green screen in that movie. Most of it was shot practically on set, and they rotoscope,
which I love. Obviously, I love. Let's keep doing that.
No. The funny thing is, there's one shot in that movie that they said took almost a week to render.
Ooh.
And they changed the process for the second one because they're like, guys, this is taking too long to get this stuff done.
Yeah.
So they changed the process and hope no one cared, and no one cared. It's kind of like when you watch Amazing Spider-Man 2 and you're like the opening swinging in that is like, oh my God, this is photoreal and looks incredible. And then you watch the newer stuff and you're like, wait, why does this not look as good even though it's 10 years later, but like no one cares, you know?
They don't need to put the effort in. We're going to talk about a little bit of that coming up on some of the movies recently. Hey, we were going to record this the other day, and now we're recording it today. So there's still some delayed things. So the internet has had their fun with this, but I feel like we needed to chime in on this. More specifically, you needed to chime in on this. Did you see the Night Bitch trailer?
Yeah.
What?
It's a trailer.
Hades heck was that?
I'd heard about it, but like, I don't know. I'm also like, I'm waist deep into finishing up watching everything for Mattoween, and I don't know if that horror gear is broken right now. Like,
no, I don't think so. I think
everything just kind of looks the same and it sounds the same and feels the same. Could this surprise me? It could very well surprise everyone and be like the greatest thing ever. But right now, like, I'm not like moved to, like, I'm not buying my tickets for it,
Right. Yeah. Not advanced sales. Do you have a favorite worst trailer that you've ever seen?
Worst trailer? It's not my favorite, but I think one of the worst trailers I've ever seen is for Rob Zombie's The Munsters.
Yeah,
that's like,
I recall that.
That trailer's so bad, Red Letter Media did a video on it.
Nothing I could say can top that, so we'll move on.
Yeah.
Wow, that was terrible. Hey, you know what? We watched the same movie recently, and that's very exciting. Yeah. The internet also is talking about it, so we didn't even watch some random ass shit. Rebel Ridge came out, 2 weeks ago now on Netflix? I guess like 3 weeks by the time you listen to it.
A movie that could have cleaned up in the box office 30 years ago. Like 30 years ago, this would have made $200 million easy.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes.
And would have, like, the lead would have been demanding 20 million a roll, like, that year,
100%. I love Jeremy Saulnier. That's the
dude, the second he's on screen, the lead, he's just like, you can't take your eyes off him. He has an intensity that most people never achieve.
I agree. I was talking about the director.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun before we started today. I got to mess with Matt, as always, about something, and he was like, don't, not today.
Yeah,
not today, bro. Not today. Rebel Ridge, directed by Jeremy Saulnier. That actor that stars in this, I agree completely. I apologize off the top of my head. I can't remember his name, but we'll know his name very soon. I'm not real worried about that. He was magnetic from the very first moment that movie started.
It's been a long time since I've seen someone where, like, the first time you see them, you're like, oh, this person's got it.
You know what? Lily Gladstone. When I saw her on Killers in the Flower Moon, it was the last time that happened for me.
Yeah. So, like, why didn't this go to theaters?
Well, I can speak kind of specifically to this one in that Jeremy's been with Netflix since Blue Ruin, and so I'm sure that's kind of been part of his contract. So I don't fault him for that. I mean, that was one of those things, like, he's just been in the business of Netflix since the beginning. He's not one of the people who didn't work with them and then came in. So I kind of give a little bit of
right, but like
to that.
Netflix also will release stuff in theaters occasionally,
occasionally, and for a very short amount of time.
But, like, you think that if you put this in theaters for a week, especially with the buzz that it got, right? Enough people would have seen it that they would have said, yo.
But does that buzz not come from the main screen of Netflix?
No. It's kind of like the release for Godzilla -1.
Okay.
Right. Godzilla -1 was only supposed to be out in theaters for a week, and it ended up running for like 2 months because people just demanded it.
Yeah.
The way it used to be.
Right, but I mean, are people watching this? I mean, it'd been me, you, and a bunch of 50-year-old, 60-year-old men in that movie theater, right?
I think if enough people had gotten early screeners of it, yeah, because I mean, that's how you used to build word of mouth, especially for something like this.
Sure. Sure. I agree completely. I wish they would have, but
yeah, and it's like it covers so many first of all, it's kind of a modern remake of the original Rambo, First Blood, right?
I did steal this from somebody else. It's like Rambo if he read the New Yorker.
Right, right. And it touches on topics that, shouldn't be relevant still, but are. And it actually touches on what was it, the forfeiture? Asset forfeiture, that what's his name?
Don Johnson? My man, Don Johnson.
No, John Oliver recently did a whole episode on, right? And it's like the civil forfeiture. Yeah. So it's like you think that the fact that it's so current, it's not a sequel to a 30-year-old movie.
Right.
You think this could have made some money in the theater.
It's weird. We usually are in agreement on that, but honestly, I'm going to stand by it. I don't know. I don't know if this could have done it in the theater.
But okay, but here's the thing though, like it could have made its money back in order to get into theaters, right? Like they're not going to lose money on it because it was supposed to go to Netflix anyway.
Right.
It's kind of like Alien Romulus. It was built for streaming and then ended up making all the money. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to go to streaming anyway, if that was the plan, why not do both? Like that's the thing that I'm having trouble understanding here. It's kind of like that George Clooney film that's coming out.
Wolves?
Yeah. Where you said it's in theaters for like a day where you
I think that's what I heard the other day. It may be a week, but yeah, I think somebody said a day. And you and I both know that's going to be a terrible movie. But if that is a movie, even for 2 weeks, you're going to get my money. Brad Pitt,
and that's my point.
Going, right?
So now we're having to look at it as like I don't want to say is streaming become a money laundering enterprise for conglomerates, but that seems kind of like what it is because they're like that one alone, Wolves, 85 million for 3 people. 85 million for 3 people in a genre that no one really cares about, and you're going to streaming, which apparently is a loss leader everywhere, right? Like no one's technically making money.
Sure.
And this got me thinking, back in the days when movie studios were just movie studios, they had to make movies that made money, right? But now they're a branch of a huge conglomerate. And that is a real quick way to make something and get a loss out of it and basically have to pay less in taxes overall. And that got me thinking, is that what streaming has become? Because streaming started as a way of getting your content, without having to make physical discs, right? That's why Netflix became popular, because you could just stream it to your house and you had all the current stuff. And then it was like, hey, we're going to make our own stuff. And then everyone started making their own stuff and they try to do their own little gated communities. And now it feels like they don't care if things make money because like Warner Brothers, they just keep shutting movies down and taking the loss. And it's like Warner Brothers isn't just making movies. They have a lot of parts of that company. And maybe that's how they are most cost effective. Like that's how they help the parent company the most. And I don't know, this is tinfoil hat time, but it's starting to feel like what is it? The latest Knives Out, which I think we're going to talk about later. The latest Knives Out's like over $200 million. How are you going to make money off that streaming?
Do you believe those numbers that Netflix put out when they put out numbers? Because I've never believed it for a second, whenever they're telling you all the streams and however much they are. I mean, do you feel like that's accurate?
I'll say this. I worked somewhere, or I have knowledge of productions where a movie would be made for $80,000, right? And they would tell everyone it cost $500,000. So if they're doing it on that level,
yeah,
I wouldn't doubt that. And if they're saying it's 200 million and it's not, that kind of leads like it gives more support to the idea this could just be a big money laundering scam.
Only in America, baby. Only in America. That's how we roll.
Actually, you know what? It's funny that you say that, because that's incredibly true, because most other countries, the majority of their film funding comes from, like, the art subsidies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're like the only one where it's like, yeah, we don't care about it that much. We'll let you make money, but we're not going to give you anything.
Yeah. Yep. Did you want to talk about the Lionsgate AI thing, or we're going to save that for another?
Oh my God. Didn't they just have, didn't the writers and actors strike last year and shut down the industry for like 5 months because of this?
Yes.
So how are they getting around this? And who besides like a bean counter or one of these tech bros that just gets a hard on for the latest whatever wants this? No artist wants this. Every time I see some of this crap on my timeline where it's like, look at what it would look like if Terminator was made in 1940 or the Avengers were made in 1950. I don't care. It looks terrible. It's soulless. And like, who wants this? And again, we just had strikes about this. How are they getting around it?
Okay. Now's the time of the segment where I'm honestly a little devil's advocate, but I'm only trying to look at things through the prism of the future, right? And so everything that you see online now is a remix of something. So if you're a studio that has a bazillion hours of backlogged videos, whatever it is, to be able to utilize that and bring that and make new content with it is kind of the trend that we're going with anyhow. On top of that, I've always been taught cut. Streamline anything you're doing. How is a 30-second, 1 minute, 5-minute movie, if it conveys what it's trying to convey, not that suggestion to the nth degree? Is it for me?
Okay.
No, it's not going to be for me. But I'm looking at the future and seeing what your kids and their kids are going to want and enjoy and watch.
It's going to swing back the opposite way, and I'll tell you why. People have told stories in a very similar fashion since the beginning of fucking time.
Sure.
Stories are how we not just entertain each other, but it's how we convey ideas, morals. It's how we explain the human condition. It's how we teach, right? And the problem is, one of the reasons why people can't stay off their phones in movie theaters and why people don't go see movies anymore, and why, when people talk about like, oh, what's your body count? And it's like just very cold, right? And it's very inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons why is because we have now a generation and a half, like most of Gen Z and all of Gen Alpha, not being raised on longer form storytelling. They have been basically like, they were born around the time of Vine, and Instagram reels and stories and TikTok and everything. And you're not able to convey that much information in a short amount of time. You're not able to get into and empathize with people because you need time. It's one of the reasons why people form such strong bonds to characters in television shows, right? Even if it's a crappy sitcom, people end up loving the characters because they've been with them so long. Familiarity is incredibly powerful, right? How many people have been married for 50 years and are miserable, and they just stay together because they're used to each other, right? You need time to connect. You have to have time to connect and understand. And we have ripped that away from almost 2 generations of people now. And I think at some point people are going to go, whoa, we've gone, because everything is a pendulum. You go too far one way, you come back too far the other. And I think we're about to hit that other swing where people go, we gotta get back to the way we used to tell stories because we've lost something. And we have. Like, people one of the reasons why I think our society is so screwed up right now is because we're all just getting bite-sized information and no one cares. It's like if all you read is half of a headline. You know, it used to be, oh, we just read headlines. Well, you're not even reading full headlines anymore. You're not getting the full story. You need the time, you need the nuance, and we've stripped that away. And that's something that I don't think AI, until it becomes completely sentient and can form its own thoughts and opinions and beliefs, you're never going to be able to recreate that through an algorithm. Actually, I saw something really funny. I saw this on Twitter, and it basically said it's funny that AI accidentally proved the existence of the human soul because it shows us what art is without one. I thought that was funny. I'm not saying, you know, it's accurate or true, but I think it's a funny way of looking at it because all this stuff, soulless is the best way of describing it. It's just regurgitating stuff that you've seen without understanding it and processing it and putting your own spin on things. It is the absolute worst. It's devoid of any quality. And again, we just had two of the biggest strikes in Hollywood history to fight this. How are they getting around it? How are they getting around? And who wants this? What director is sitting down and says, yes, I want this? What screenwriter is sitting down and says, yes, I want this?
Right. But in the history of Hollywood, we know that when the studio wants something, they're going to find somebody that's going to do it. And that's just, you know, that's just how it's always been. Right. So if you don't want to work underneath the old problems, you know, like in the 30s and 40s, 50s, fine, well, let's find somebody else that does. Like, there's always going to be somebody that's going to step up in that role. Like, there's never going to be a void there. And so, unfortunately, that's just kind of how people work.
But again, if they just sign deals like, okay, this is how we're going to work from here on out, how are they able to get around this?
Yeah, we talked
that.
About no, you know, they always have outs. I mean, that's why.
But no, this isn't like even a moral question. Like, I'm literally wondering, how are they getting around the legalities of this?
Right.
Like I'm genuinely confused, and it doesn't seem like anyone has an answer yet. And I think there's still a little bit of time to you can't put the genie back in the bottle, but to put some chains on it, right? Because at this pace, it's going to do what streaming has done to this business, only it's going to do it faster. And instead of taking the industry to its knees, it's going to completely desolate it. And then we're going to look around and go, oh, we've taken this so far, we can't come back.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's not just this industry, it's kind of everything.
And that's why my new name is AI.
What's up, everybody? This is Matt, half of the Matt Men Movies Podcast, your favorite podcast about movies. And this is our sponsor for the week. This week's episode is sponsored by Blue Spatula, the only service that brings you exclusively blue shaded spatulas to your door every week. They've got blue, they've got light blue, they've got powder blue, navy blue, heck, even electric blue is available. Teal, you ask? They've got it. Mint? No, of course not. That's green. We're only blue here at Blue Spatula. But if you want cornflower blue, sapphire, even cyan, Blue Spatula is the service for you. This week's special, if you use code MattMenMoviesPodcast, you'll receive a buy one, get one for the same price deal. Didn't you hear us say this is for Blue Spatula? Why would they give you a deal when they're already the greatest value you'll ever receive in the mail? Blue Spatula, and get yours today wherever you get your other spatulas from, because it's the same thing.
Hey, let's look forward and let's look back a little bit. I was just kind of looking at the 2025 calendar. There's a few things on there that are very interesting to me and a few that aren't in any way, shape, or form. So I want to see how good we are at predicting what we think we're going to like next year as it currently constitutes what's coming out in 2025. I say we pick 3 movies. And as we go along this podcast, go through the future, we don't have to do it every time, but we'll check back in from time to time and see if we are still interested, / is it still going to be a movie that happens? Since this was my idea, I will let you go first, friend. What movie off the 2025 list are you most looking forward to coming to theaters?
Superman.
Okay. I was wondering if you were going to be all in or all out. I wasn't sure.
Well, you can't see it, but I literally have a shelf that goes almost up to my ceiling and all the way down to the ground, just filled with Superman stuff.
Well, I know that, but anytime a new
Yeah.
thing comes, I never know how you're going to feel about it.
Well, James Gunn hasn't made a bad movie. He hasn't.
If I wasn't banished in this little area.
No. He might have made something you don't like. He hasn't made an objectively bad film. And he seems to want to go back to some of the Silver Age 60s and 70s weirdness. Like we know that Crypto, the super dog, is going to be in it.
Right.
So this isn't going to be a grim, dark power fantasy. I'm really interested to see what he does with it because, I think that's one of the reasons why they gave him Guardians of the Galaxy, because sci-fi never does well in theaters. You have to mix it with something.
Sure.
Like sci-fi horror, sci-fi whatever. But just pure straight sci-fi doesn't do well. And unfortunately, the majority of Marvel stuff is very sci-fi. It's very sci-fi. And they realized, if we got to do the Infinity Saga and introduce our bad guy that's a 9-foot tall purple monster, we've got to introduce this stuff, but we got to do it in a way where we do it with a property that we don't mind losing money on. So they gave James Gunn, who is a weird outside of the box filmmaker for it, carte blanche basically to make a movie with a property that most people, even comic book fans, weren't real familiar with. That way, if it loses money, well, it's not Thor. It's not, one of the big ones. So no harm, no foul. And he made a sci-fi comedy. And that first Guardians of the Galaxy movie is probably the closest thing to the original Star Wars that Gen Z has experienced in the theater, right? My favorite review of it was, someone said, it makes me happy that computers exist, because it's such a fully different, fleshed out reality that they have. And he took a property where two of your characters, one of them's a talking raccoon and the other one's a tree that says 3 words, right? And he made it work, and it made all the money.
Okay,
and all their sci-fi stuff going. Hold on,
because
sci-fi stuff going forward.
To use 2 words, 2 names: Paul Thomas Anderson, Leonardo DiCaprio. That's all I needed to explain my first excited movie about.
Oh, hold on.
You got to
no, still not done. No, still not done.
Things.
No, still not done. Going forward, everything that they've done with their sci-fi has been built off of that sci-fi comedy that he did. So, for him to tackle something like Superman, I'm really interested, because Superman hasn't really been, the draw that he should be. And I'm really interested to see what he does with it, because it could either reinvigorate the character for a new generation, or it could just send him further into irrelevance.
You're up again.
Paul Thomas Anderson is probably my second.
No, I picked that. Yeah. You're next. Pick a new one.
No. That I've been a Paul Thomas Anderson fan since high school. No, that's the one.
Nobody's arguing against that. That's my pick. You picked your thing. I picked my thing. Now your turn. Pick a new film.
That's my second pick.
I picked it. We're not repeating.
You never said that. You never said we couldn't repeat. No, if that's the one that I have 3 that I'm looking forward to, and that's one of them.
Well, if we do it 1 and I do 3 and you do 3, then we could both look forward to 6 movies rather than.
But I'm looking through the list, and there's really nothing else I give a damn about.
F1, the new Brad Pitt racing movie.
No.
Yeah, Smash Machine. Mickey 17. We got.
That's what, like the beginning of January, right? I'm still okay. Like, I want to see that, but I'm definitely looking forward to Paul Thomas Anderson more. He hasn't made a contemporary film since 1999. No, I take it back. Punch Drunk Love. That was his last contemporary one.
There you go. Punch Drunk Love. It's been too long since I've seen that. Speaking of Superman. All right, let us get into our big topic for the day. If I
no, we still haven't picked 3. My third one is Frankenstein.